Hey YouTube, Joseph Bulmer, and today we had a '03 Chevy Silverado. It was a 2500 with the 6.6 Duramax in the shop, and we'd already gone through and replaced all the power steering, or the two power steering lines run to and from the Hydraboost, and we sent it home thinking we had all the leaks fixed, and the owner noticed it was still leaking a little bit, and he got to checking and thought it was coming from the Hydraboost assembly itself, which it was. It was out the front of the Hydraboost, between the Hydraboost, basically the seal between the Hydraboost and the brake master cylinder. So here I am actually replacing the Hydraboost assembly. Now, it's not exceedingly complicated. You can do it with a basic set of metric hand tools, needle wrenches, sockets, and there are two bolts that actually hold the brake master cylinder to the Hydraboost, which I'm removing now. Once you take those, you can slide the brake master cylinder, even with the line still attached. You can gently move it toward the front of the truck. Now, I do recommend checking your brake lines. If your brake lines are where they get down to the frame from the master cylinder, you need to be real careful moving it, because it'd be very easy to break one. This truck, the lines were in pretty decent shape. This generation of Chevy trucks did have issues with lines rusting out. We put several full line kits on these trucks. It's a common problem. So keep that in mind. But I've had to edit a lot of the sound out of this video, and I apologize for that, but we had a lot going on around the shop, and there were, at any given point, 3 or 4 different conversations going as I was working. So that's why I edited it out. Once you get the master cylinder loose, you can take the pressure lines and the one vent line, or the return line I should say, from the Hydraboost off. I do recommend, I mean, you could do the work first, but I do recommend doing the outside work first while the Hydraboost is still solidly mounted to the firewall. Here I'm inside the truck, and once I get the camera set up, there are 4 bolts right up there behind the brake pedal, right around where the steering column goes through. Those are the only 4 bolts that hold the Hydraboost assembly to the firewall. Now, there's also a metal clip, and it's real easy to release if you have a pocket screwdriver, but you're going to have to slide a screwdriver or something up in the bottom of that clip to release it, so that you can slide it up and off of the post on the brake pedal lever, and then you can slide the brake light switch and the rod to the Hydraboost assembly off of the brake pedal, and you can see once you get it off, it'll fall to the floor. Now, be very careful with the, if you get a little rough with it, you can damage it, and they're easy to replace. You've got it off, but they're not the cheapest thing. I think they're $50-75, so you don't really want to break one. Then it's just a matter of taking the 4 bolts out. You can do this with a socket and extension. You'll probably need to swivel to get them. But I'm just using my little snap-on 3/8 impact here just to make it. I got to do this as fast as I can. That's how we make money on these jobs. And get on to the next one. So 4 bolts, 1 clip, and once I get done, you'll actually see me go back around to the front. And I left the lines on. I should have gone ahead and pulled them off, because they were a pain to get off with the hydrant around. But you just take the 2 pressure lines out, take the return line off, and to get it off, you'll see here in a minute, I actually have to hold the clamp, and I'm wiggling it, and I ended up underneath of it with a pry bar and kind of ease up on it to finally get the rubber to break loose of the nipple that it sits on. So I'm going to put some music on for you guys here in the meantime, and I will be back with some more tips and tricks once we get a little closer to the install. And there you can see the rod that came out of the brake. I did speed the video clips up here just to make it a little faster, because this job does take a little bit of time. So, and here again, like I was saying, I'm taking these lines off. This would have been a lot easier before I unbolted the Hydraboost. You really can't tell in the video, but it is moving around a little bit, and it's not the easiest thing to do, breaking those loose while that. So I'm going to put some music on for you, and I will be back here in just a minute once I get that. I'm unboxing the new Hydraboost assembly now, and the one thing that I did not realize at first was that it did come with the new push rod, spring, and retainer that was in the old one. So I take it out of the old one, take the loose, and watch out, that's pressure on it. You see the push rod, and it goes in flat in first, then the spring slides over it, and the retainer holds it all in place. It's not a big deal to change. It's easy to pop out. Just be careful because the spring does have some pressure on it, and make sure you get that inside the new assembly. And the rest of this basically is going to be the reassembly procedure, which is a reversal of your removal. One thing I will say now, and I do have a kind of a little, I typed it in, and you know, it's texted over the video, but when you do go to put those two pressure lines back on, this is new O-rings. If it doesn't, get some O-rings for it. Put new O-rings on the two lines. I don't care how new those O-rings are. I mean, these are only a week old, but I don't trust them once they've been tightened down on to be able to tighten down on them a second time and not have them leak. I mean, if this was your own personal truck and you wanted to take that risk, that's fine, but in this case it's a customer vehicle. It's not worth the risk of have him come back complaining of a leak because I did extra seconds, and it's not a big deal. So Okay guys, here I am back under the dash, putting the 4 bolts in that hold the Hydraboost assembly to the firewall, and then I will be reinstalling the push rod that goes to the Hydraboost, the brake switch, and the small metal clip that holds it all on. The push rod goes in between the 2 legs on the brake light switch, and you need to be very careful, make sure it gets in there, and don't brake light switch putting it back on. This is really not the easiest thing to do one-handed, but you can do it. It takes some wiggling and some kind of finagling around, and then check and make sure once you get it all put back together that your brake lights function properly. The little clip is a real pain to get back on. Needless to say, I cut all of it out, but it took me several tries to get that thing to go on and actually seat and click and lock like it's supposed to. But you'll see that here in just a minute. So anyway guys, once you get all this done, you're all set. Top off your power steering fluid, because your power steering is what runs the Hydraboost. Take it out for a test drive. All these systems, whether it be Ford, Chevy, or Dodge, are very similar in this respect. Sometimes the Fords do have a little bit more trouble purging air than some of the other ones, but the installation is so. There's a little metal clip going up. Anyway guys, if you have any questions, do me a favor, drop them in the comments section. I love to read your comments too, as long as they're not just mean. Anyway, if you haven't already, do me a favor, click the subscribe button, subscribe to the channel, rate the video for me, and guys, whatever you do, don't forget, get out there, get your hands dirty. You might just have a little fun doing it. And do me a favor, share this with a friend. You never know, it might help them out a little bit, especially if they got a Duramax, Power Stroke, or anything else that uses the Hydraboost system. So, have a nice day.